All right. So we are reading Akotar, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Okay. And we are on chapter 32. We are deep in the book. Why is he in my soul right now? My bad. All right. So, quick little recap. Spoiler. And if you guys would want to catch up on it, ! React in the chat. All of the readings get uploaded there. All of them. But for those of you who don't want to, or want to get a little refresher, basically, Feyre went back to her hometown, and they ended up capturing, they being Rhysand, ended up capturing the fake name that Feyre gave to him, saying what her name was, and killed all of their family and burned down the house. And now Feyre was like, what the fuck? So now Feyre is going back to try and do something. That's basically it. And she ended up getting back to the manor, Tomlin's manor, and nobody was there. It was empty. So that's where we left off. All right. So, let's see. I gave myself a minute, just 1 minute, to kneel in the remnants of the entry hall. Then I eased to my feet, careful not to disturb any of the shattered glass or wood or blood. There were splatters of it everywhere, along with small puddles and smears down the gouged walls. Another forest, I told myself, another set of tracks. Slowly, I moved across the floor, tracing the information left. It had been a vicious fight, and from the blood patterns, most of the damage to the house had been done during the fight, not afterward. The crushed glass and footprints came and went from the front and back of the house, as if the whole place had been surrounded. The intruders had needed to force their way in through the front door. They just completely shattered the doors in the garden. No bodies. I kept repeating to myself, there were no bodies, and not much gore. They had to be alive. Talmud had to be alive, because if he were dead, I rubbed my face, taking a shuddering breath, I wouldn't let myself get that far. My husband shook as I paused. My hands shook as I paused before the dining room doors, both barely hanging on their hinges. I couldn't tell if the damage was from his lashing out after Rhysand's arrival the day before my departure, or if someone else had caused it. The giant table was in pieces, the windows smashed, the curtains in shreds, but no blood. There was no blood here, and from the prints in the shards of glass, I studied the trail across the floor. It had been disturbed, but I could make out two sets, large and side by side. Large and side by side. Sorry, I'm tripping up on my words. Leading from where the table had been, as if Tomlin and Lucian had been sitting in here as the attack happened, and walked out without a fight. If I was right, then they were alive. I traced the steps of the doorway, squatting for a moment to work through the churning up shards, dirt, and blood. They've been met here by multiple sets of prints and headed towards the garden. Debris crunched from down the hall. I drew my hunting knife and I ducked farther into the dining room, scanning for a place to hide, but everything was in pieces, with no other option. I lunged behind the open door. I pressed a hand over my mouth to keep from breathing too loudly, and peered through the crack between the door and the wall. Something limped into the room and sniffed. I could only see its back cloaked in a plain cape, medium height. All it had to do to find me was shut the door. Perhaps if it came far enough into the dining room, I could slip out, but that would require leaving my hiding spot. Perhaps it would just look around and then leave. The figure sniffed again, and my stomach clenched. It could smell me. I dared a better glance at it, hoping to find a weakness, a spot for my knife, if things came to it. The figure turned slowly towards me. I cried out, and the figure screeched as I shoved away the door. Alice? She gaped at me, a hand on her heart, her usual brown dress torn and dirty, her apron gone entirely, not bloodied though, nothing save for the slight limp that favored her right ankle as she rushed for me. Her tree bark skin bleached birch white. "You can't be here." She took in my knife and the bow and the quiver. "You were told to stay away. Is he alive?" "Yes, but..." My knees buckled and on the onside of her leaf. "And Lucian?" "Alive as well, but tell me what happened. Tell me everything." I kept an eye on the window, listening to the manor and the grounds around us. Not a sound. Alice grasped my arm and pulled me from the room. She didn't speak as we hurried through the empty, too quiet halls, all of them wrecked and bloodied, but no bodies. Either they had been hauled away, or I didn't let myself consider it as we entered the kitchen. A fire had scorched the giant room, and it was little more than cinders and blackened stone. After sniffling about and listening for any signs of danger, Alice released me. "What are you doing here?" "I had to come back. I thought something had gone wrong. I couldn't stay away. I had to help." "He told you not to come back," Alice snapped. "Where is he?" Alice covered her face with her long, bony hands, her fingertips grappling into the upper edge of her mask as if trying to tear it from her face. But the mask remained, and Alice sighed as she lowered her tree bark hands. She took him," she said, and my blood went cold. "She took him to her court under the mountain." "Who?" But I already knew the answer. "Amarantha," Alice whispered, and glanced again the kitchen, as if fearful that speaking her name would summon her. "Why? And who is she? What is she? Please just tell me. Just give me the truth." Alice shuddered. "You want the truth, girl? Then here it is. She took him for the curse, because the 7 times 7 years were over, and he hadn't shattered her curse. She summoned all the High Lords to her court this time to make them watch or break him. What is she? What curse? A curse? The curse she put on this place? A curse that I had failed to even see? Amarantha is High Queen of this land? The High Queen of Prythian?" Alice breathed. Her eyes widened with some memory of horror. "But the 7 lords rule Prythian equally. There is no High Queen." "That's how it used to be. How it's always been, until 100 years ago, when she appeared in these lands as an emissary from Hybern." Alice grabbed a large satchel that she must have left by the door. It was already half full of what looked like clothes and supplies. As she began sifting through the ruined kitchen, gathering up knives and any food that had survived, I wondered at the information the serial had given me of a wicked fairy king who had spent centuries representing the treaty he'd been forced to sign, and who had sent out his deadliest commanders to infiltrate the other fairy kingdoms and courts to see if they felt as he did, to see if they might consider reclaiming the human lands for themselves. I leaned against one of the soot-stained walls. "She went from court to court," Alice went on, turning an apple over in her hands as she inspected it, deemed it good enough, and stuffed it into the bag, charming the High Lords with talk of more trade between Hybern and Prythian, more communication, more sharing of assets, the never-fading flower, they called her, and for 50 years she lived here as a courtier bound to no court, making amends, she claimed, for her own actions and the actions of Hybern during the war. "She fought in the war against mortals?" Alice paused, her gathering. "Her story is legend among our kind, legend and nightmare. She was the king of Hybern's most lethal general. She fought on the front lines, slaughtering humans and any high fae, and fairies who dared defend them. But she had a younger sister, Clythia, who fought at her side, as vicious and wrenched as she, until Clythia fell in love with a mortal warrior, Jurian." Alice loosed a shaking sigh. "Jurian commanded mighty human armies, but Clythia still secretly sought him out, still loved him with an unrelenting madness. She was too blind to realize that Jurian was using her for her information about Amarantha's forces. Amarantha suspected, but could not persuade Clythia to leave him, and could not bring herself to kill him, not when it would cause her sister such pain." Alice clicked her tongue and began opening the cabinets, scanning their ravaged insides. "Amarantha delighted in torture and killing, and yet she loved her sister enough to stay her hand. What happened?" I breathed. Oh, Jurian betrayed Clythia. After months of stomaching being her lover, he got the information he needed, then tortured and butchered her, crucifying her with ash wood so she couldn't move while he did it. He left the pieces of her for Amarantha to find. They say Amarantha's wrath could have brought down the skies themselves, had her king not ordered her to stand down. But she and Jurian had their final confrontation later. And since then, Amarantha has hated humans with a rage you cannot imagine. Alice found out. Alice found what looked to be a jar of preserves and added it to the satchel. After the two sides made the treaty, Alice said, now going through the drawers, she butchered her own slaves rather than free them. I blanched. But centuries later, the High Lords believed her when she told them that the death of her sister had changed her, especially when she opened trade lines between our two territories. The High Lords never knew that those same ships that brought over Hibernian goods also brought over her own personal forces. The King of Hybern didn't know either, but we all soon learned that. In those 50 years she was here, she had decided she wants Prythian for her own, to begin amassing power and use her lands as a launching point to one day destroy your world once and for all, with or without her king's blessing. So 49 years ago she struck. She knew that even with her personal army, she could never conquer the 7 High Lords by numbers or power alone. But she was also cunning and cruel, and she waited until they absolutely trusted her, until they gathered at a ball in her honor. And that night she slipped a potion stolen from the King of Hybern's unholy spellbook into their wine. Once they drank, the High Lords were prone, their magic laid bare, and she stole their powers from where they originated inside their bodies, plucked them out as if she was taking an apple from its branch, leaving them with only basest elements of their magic. Your Tomlin, what you saw of him, was a shade of what he used to be, the power he used to command, and with the High Lord's power so greatly decreased, Amarantha wrested control of Prythian from them in a matter of days. For 49 years we have been her slaves. For 49 years she has been biding her time, waiting for the right moment to break the treaty and take your lands and all human territories beyond it. I wish there was a stool, a bench, a chair for me to slump into. Alice slammed into the final drawer and limped for the pantry. Now they call her the deceiver. She who trapped the 7 High Lords and built her palace beneath the sacred mountain in the heart of our land. Alice paused before the pantry door and covered her face again, taking a few steadying breaths. The sacred mountain, that bald, monstrous peak I'd spotted in the mural in the library all those months ago. But the sickness in the lands, Tomlin said, all that blight took their power. She is the sickness in these lands, Alice snapped, lowering her hands and entering her pantry. There is no blight but her. The borders were collapsing because she laid them to rubble. She found it amusing to send her creatures to attack our lands, to test whatever strength Tomlin had left. Really? Really? Wow, so it was always her. So she's the blight. Wow. If the blight was Amarantha, then the threat to the human realm, she was the threat to the human realm. Alice emerged from the pantry, her arms full of various root vegetables. You could have been the one to stop her. Her eyes were hard upon me, and she bared her teeth. They were alarmingly sharp. She shoved the turnips and beets in the bag. You could have been the one to free him and his power, had he not been so blind to your own heart. Humans, she spat. What? Wait. Why is Alice pissed off at Feyre? Wait, what? I lifted my hands, exposing my palms to her. I didn't know. You couldn't know, Alice said bitterly, her laugh harsh as she entered the pantry again. It was part of Tomlin's curse. My head swam, and I pressed myself further against the wall. What was? I fought the rising hitch in my voice. What was his curse? What did she do to him? Alice yanked remaining spice jars of the pantry shelf. Tomlin and Amarantha knew each other before. His family had long been tied to Hybern. During the war, the Spring Court allied with Hybern to keep the humans enslaved. So his father, who was a fickle and a vicious lord, was very close with the King of Hybern, to Amarantha. Tomlin, as a child, often accompanied him on trips to Hybern, and he met Amarantha in the process. Tomlin had once said to me that he would fight to protect someone's freedom, that he would never allow slavery, had it been solely because of shame of his own legacy, or because he'd come to somehow know what it was to be enslaved. Amarantha eventually grew to desire Tomlin, to lust for him with her entire wicked heart. But he heard the stories from others about the war, and knew that Amarantha and his father and the Hybrid King had done to fairies and humans alike. What she did to Jurian as punishment for her sister's death, he was wary of her when she came here, despite her attempts to lure him into bed, and kept his distance right up until she stole his powers. Lucian was sent to her as Tomlin's emissary. Was sent as Tomlin's emissary to try to treat for peace between them. Bile rose in my throat. She refused, and Lucian told her to go back to her shithole she crawled out of. She took his eye as punishment, carved it out with her own fingernail, and then scarred his face. She sent him back so bloody that Tomlin, the High Lord, vomited when he saw his friend. I couldn't let myself imagine what state Lucian had been in. Then, if it had made Tomlin sick, Alice tapped on her mask, the metal pinging beneath her nails. After that, she hosted a masquerade under the mountain for herself. All the courts were present, a party, she said. A make amends for what she'd done to Lucian, and a masquerade so he didn't have to reveal the horrible scarring on his face. The entire spring court was to attend, even the servants, and to wear masks to honor Tomlin's shape-shifting powers, she said. He was willing to try to end the conflict without slaughter, and he agreed to go, to bring all of us. I pressed my hands against the stone wall behind me, savoring its coolness and steadiness. Pausing in the center of the kitchen, Alice set down her satchel, now full of food and supplies. When all were assembled, she claimed that peace could be had if Tomlin joined her as her lover and consort, but when she tried to touch him, he refused to let her get near. Not after what she'd done to Lucian, he said, in front of everyone that night. Then he would sooner take a human to his bed, sooner marry a human than ever touch her. She might have to let it go. Had he not then said that her own sister had preferred a human company to hers, that her own sister had chosen Jurian over her? I winced, already knowing what Alice would say as she braced her hands on her hips and went on. You can guess how well that went over with Amarantha, but she told Tomlin that she was in a generous mood. Told him she'd give him a chance to break the spell she put upon him to steal the power. He spat in her face, and she laughed. She said she had 7 years before she claimed him, before he had to join her under the mountain. If he wanted to break her curse, he need only find a human girl willing to marry him. But not any girl, a human with ice in her heart, with hatred for our kind. A human girl willing to kill a fairy. What? What? Oh my God. Wait. Wait, this was planned. But how deep was this planned? Wait. So him falling in love with her was planned. But he needed to fall in love with a human that killed a fairy? So then he sent his friend. He sent his friend into the human land, disguised as a wolf, so he could die. What the fuck? He transformed his friend into a wolf Oh my God, his friend must have known he was going to die. His friend must have known he was going to die. He must have, that wolf, fuck, what's the wolf's name? What is that wolf? What's the wolf? Shit. What is it? Damn it. Andres. Oh my God. Oh my God. Tomlin transformed Andres into a wolf, sent him out to find a human girl. This was all planned. Scooby with a 10 gifted. Holy shit, thank you. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Yo, Scooby with the 10 Oh, Sid. Wait, is this right? Wait, what the fuck? Wait, Sid with the 40 gifted. Wait, when did that happen? What the fuck? Is that real? Oh my lord. Holy shit. Thank you, Sid. Sorry about that. I missed that. When I was reading? Oh, thank you. Power hour? Did we hit another power hour? Oh, shit. W. Dude. Oh my lord. What the fuck? That's why he was so nice to her. It makes so much sense. Because I was always wondering, I was like, why is he so nice to her? She literally killed his friend. What was his plan? What was the wolf's mission? Oh my God. How did I not piece it together earlier? Oh my God. Dude, what the fuck? Sid with a gift. I appreciate it. Thank you. Dude. So Tomlin and Op now. I mean, that's super manipulative. Dude, that's so manipulative. The whole time, everything was planned. Even the anger when he barged into the cottage. That's all. It was all manipulated. What the fuck? I understand he's a lord of his people and he's trying to take care of his people, but at the same time, he had to have done all of that for his people? Does he really love her? I don't know. Holy shit. Wait, Sid with a 50 gifted. What the fuck? Oh my lord. Wait, Sid. Jesus, what the fuck? Yo, W's in the chat. Thank you, Sid. That wasn't me? Oh shit, who was it? Who was that? Dude, Tomlin. Oh my god. Farrah's gonna lose it. Farrah's gonna fucking lose it. What the fuck? So So Tomlin needed a human girl with a heart of ice cold who killed a fairy. That was the criteria to get rid of the curse. But wait. Hold on. No. Why did he send her away then? Why did he send her away? Is it because maybe because he actually does keep reading, she tells you? Okay, no spoilers. Guys, no spoilers. Stop. If you didn't read, don't hypothesize, okay? Or sorry, if you did read, don't hypothesize or say anything. But if you didn't read, you can speculate with me. But okay, I'm going to keep reading, but hold on. Let me just say this one thing. Or Amarantha was going to kill her because she found the way to... Yes, that's what I was going to say. So I'm thinking that because Rhysand found the human girl, Amarantha knows how to break the curse, and she was going to kill him. Or she was going to kill Feyre. Like, she was literally going to kill Feyre, right? And he sent her away to stop that from happening because she was the only way of uplifting the curse. But couldn't she have said, I love you before she died and lifted the curse? Like, I feel like if he truly was cold-hearted and didn't care about Feyre, he would have pressured her to say, love you. Can you say it back? Can you do me a favor and say Persephone? What does that mean? What? What is that? What is that word? I don't know what that word is. Persephone? Persephone? What if he did pressure her and it didn't work? Like he pressured her and the curse didn't lift? Persephone? 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 Or Persephone? Am I doing it right? I don't fucking know. Persephone. Persephone? Persephone. Persephone? Persephone. Okay, there we go. Mize Aaron with a tier 1. Appreciate it. Oh, Anna with a 30 gifted. What the fuck? Wait, what has gotten into you guys? Holy shit, thank you. Okay, sorry. Let me just cook a little bit, chat. Listen, I want to keep reading, but my favorite part is to try and cook. You know? I love cooking. I love trying to cook. Okay. Thanks for the tier 1, Genji. Okay. So, pressuring her to say I love you back before she leaves. Okay, hold on. So he said I love you right after that, trying to get her to say it back. She doesn't, but he sends her away. Is it because he actually loves her and he wants to protect her? Oh, fuck. Or is it because he knows that Amarantha is going to send Rhysand and kill her right away? Can you tell us how you think everything will play out using context clues? Okay. Was it all part of the grand plan? Okay. So this is how I think it's going to plan out. Okay. So I'm not sure if that Claire girl actually got captured or not, or she's actually dead and Rhysand killed her. So this, I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and assume for the plot, this is what I think happened. Ready? Who's the little shade guy that comes in first before Rhysand? What was his name? Anyone know? The little gate guy, he comes in for like a little bit. Not Lucian, no. It's like someone from Amarantha's squad. Starts with an A, I think. But he's like the Artor. The Artor. Yes, Artor. Yes. So the Ator or whatever. Okay. So listen. This is what I think happened. This is gonna get very specific, and this is gonna be very far off, but this is how I'd write it. Okay. It was like, okay, hold on. Ready? Listen. Rhysand went and captured Claire and then killed the rest of the family. Captured Claire, brought Claire back to Amarantha. Then Artor went to Tomlin and said, yo, we have your girl. We captured your girl. Tomlin, pissed as fuck, but then why are the... hold on. Why was there an army outside of the manor, if that was the case? We have your girl. Unless it was like, okay, hold on. Okay. Sent the army, set a squad to go pick up Tomlin and be like, yo, Tomlin, I have your girl. Come with us quietly. Tomlin, pissed as fuck, goes on a rampage, kills a lot of people, but not that much. But then eventually, maybe Rhysand was like, wait, stop. Remember, we'll kill your girl if you do anything. Tomlin then goes, okay, fine. And he goes over with Lucian to Amarantha's place because he thinks Amarantha has this girl, but it has Claire instead. No, Rhysand would have known that it's not Claire. Hold on, fuck. It's not adding up. Unless Rhysand knows that he got tricked and then knows that Claire isn't actually her. So using that as a way to blackmail Tomlin to come, and Tomlin gets fooled. They get there. Tomlin's like, what the fuck? That's not her. And then... So my confusion comes in with like, what the fuck is Feyre going to do about any of this? Ashwood arrows or something? And like cook people with it? I mean, Feyre's probably pissed as hell at Tomlin. Feyre's like mauling. She's so pissed. She's like, what the fuck? Tomlin manipulated her the entire time. She's super frustrated. And Lucien knew too. Oh. Wait. That's why Lucien was kind of standoffish. Dude. That's why Lucien was so standoffish, because he knew he's just doing, oh my God, that he's just doing this just because of the curse and didn't want to get close to her. Oh my God. Oh my God. So I guess like the part that starts getting kind of like is like, does he actually love her and send her away because he loved her and he cared more about her than about the curse at the end? But that doesn't make sense. I think he just got worried that she was going to kill him. And it could be both too, to be honest. Okay, so now how does Feyre react to this? So she's going to get all this info. She's going to be molding. She's going to want to know if it's real. She's going to want to know if it's real. She wants to hear Tomlin say it. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. I would want to hear Tomlin say that that was the kid. That was the real reason. And oh fuck. And then Rhysand is gonna be like, Rhysand's gonna have a field day with that. Oh fuck. If I know Rhysand, I don't know him well enough. I've only seen him like once. He's only appeared once. But he's gonna have a field day with this. I already know his kind of tone. And he's gonna get into her head. I bet you feel like a fool. I bet you feel like a fool being manipulated by a High Lord, a High Fae. Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah. He's definitely going to do that. He's going to be like, it looks like the High Lord, the High Fae actually can lie, huh? You know, he's going to have like this little snarky little tone with his words, right? Okay, let's keep reading. I've pieced a lot together, or I mean, I'm attempting to. You thought he loved you, yeah. You thought he loved you. Pathetic. A High Fae loving a human. Oh, I can already tell. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Okay. Okay, this is getting good. All right. He need only find a human girl willing to marry him, but not any girl, a human with ice in her heart, with hatred for our kind, a human girl willing to kill a fairy. The ground rocked beneath me, and I was grateful for the wall I leaned against. Worse. The fairy she killed had to be one of his men, sent across the wall by him like lambs to slaughter. The girl can only be brought here to be courted if she killed one of his men in an unprovoked attack, killed him for hatred alone, just as Jurian had done to Clythia, so he could understand her sister's pain. The treaty? That was all a lie. There was no provision for that in the treaty. You can kill as many innocent fairies as you want and never suffer the consequences. You just killed Andras, sent out by Tomlin as that day's sacrifice. Andras was looking for a cure. Tomlin had said, not for some magical blight, but a cure to save Prithian from Amarantha, a cure for his curse. The wolf, Andras, had just stared at me before I killed him. Let me kill him, so it could begin his chain of events, so that Tomlin might stand a chance of breaking the spell. And if Tomlin had sent Andras across the wall, knowing that he might very well die, oh, Tomlin. Alice stooped to gather up the butter knife, twisted and bent, and carefully straightened out the blade. It was all a cruel joke, a clever punishment to Amarantha. You humans loathe and fear fairies so much, it would be impossible for the same girl who slaughtered a fairy in cold blood to then fall in love with one. But the spell on Tomlin could only be broken if she did just that before the 49 years were over. If that girl said to his face that she loved him and meant it with her entire heart, Amarantha knows humans are preoccupied with beauty and thus bound the mask all of our faces to his face. So it'd be more difficult to find a girl willing to look beyond the mask, beyond his fairy nature, and to the soul beneath. Then she bound us so we couldn't say a word about the curse, not a single word. We could hardly tell you a thing about our world, about our fate. He couldn't tell you. None of us properly could. The lies about the blight, that was the best he could do, the best we could all do. That all I could tell you now. It means the game is over to her. She pocketed the knife. When she first cursed him, Tomlin sent one of his men across the wall every day, to the woods, to farms, all disguised as wolves to make it more likely for one of your kind to want to kill them. If they came back, it was with stories of human girls who ran and screamed and begged, who didn't even lift a hand. When they didn't come back, Tomlin's bond with them, as their lord and master told them, they'd been killed by others. Human hunters, older women, perhaps. For 2 years, he sent them out, day after day, having to pick who crossed the wall. When all but a dozen of them were left, it broke him so badly he stopped, called it off, and since then, Tomlin had been here, defending his borders as chaos and disorder ruled in the other courts under Amarantha's thumb. The other High Lords fought back too. 40 years ago, she executed 3 of them, and most of their families for banding together against her. Open rebellion? What courts? I straightened, taking a step away from the wall. Perhaps I might find allies among them to help me save Tomlin. The day court, summer court, and winter court, and no, it didn't even get far enough to be considered an open rebellion. She used the High Lord's powers to bind us to the land. So the rebel lords tried calling for aid from the other fairy territories, using as messengers whatever humans were fool enough to enter our lands, most of them young women who worshipped us like gods, the children of the blessed. They had indeed made it over the wall, but not for the brides. I was too battered by what I'd heard to grieve for them, rage for them, but Amarantha caught them all before they left these shores, and you can imagine how it ended for those girls. Afterward, once Amarantha also butchered the rebellious High Lords, their successors were too terrified to tempt her wrath again. And where are they now? Are they allowed to live on their lands like Tomlin was? No. She keeps them in their entire court under the mountain, where she can torment them as she pleases. Others, if they swear allegiance, if they grovel to serve her, she allows them a bit more freedom to come to under the mountain as they will. Our court was only allowed to remain here until Tomlin's curse ran out, but, Alice shivered, that's why you keep your nephews in hiding. To keep them away from this, I said, glancing at the full satchel at her feet. Alice nodded, and as she went right to the overturned work table, I moved to help her, both of us grunting at the weight. My sister and I served in the summer court, and she and her mate were among those who put down her for spite when Amarantha first invaded. I took the boys and ran before Amarantha had everyone dragged under the mountain. I came here because it was the only place to go, and asked Tomlin to hide my boys. He did, and when I begged him to let me help, in whatever small way, he gave me a position here, day before the mask that put this wretched thing on my face. So I've been here for nearly 50 years, watching as Amarantha's noose grew tighter around his neck. We set the table upright again, and both of us panted a bit as we slumped against it. He tried, Alice said, even with her spies, he tried finding ways to break the curse, to do anything against it, against having to send his men out again to be slaughtered by humans. He thought that if the human girl loved true, then bringing her here to free him was another form of slavery. And he thought if he did indeed fall in love with her, Amarantha would do everything she could to destroy her, as her sisters had been destroyed. So he spent decades refusing to do it, to even risk it. But this winter, with months to go, he just snapped. He sent the last of his men out, one by one, and they were willing. They had begged him to go all these years. Tomlin was desperate to save his people, desperate enough to risk the lives of his men, risk that human girl's life to save us. 3 days in, Andras finally ran into a human girl in a clearing, and you killed him with hate in your heart. But I had failed them, and in doing so, I damned them all. I had damned each and every person on this estate, damned Prythian itself. I was glad I was leaning against the table's edge, or else I might have slid to the floor. You could have broken it, Alice snarled, those sharp teeth mere inches from my face. All you had to do was say that you loved him. Say that you loved him and meant it with your whole useless human heart. His power would have been freed. You stupid, stupid girl. Damn. No wonder Lucian had resented me, and yet still tolerated my presence. No wonder he'd been so bitterly disappointed when I left, had argued with Tomlin to let me stay longer. Yeah, I'm sorry. Fuck, I knew it. I mean, I should have known it. I'm sorry, I said, my eyes burning. Alice snorted. Tell that to Tomlin. He had only 3 days after you left before the 49 days were over. 3 days, and he let you go. She came here. Okay, so if... No. If he sent her back, he actually cared for her. It's not her fault, first of all. She had no way of knowing. He actually had loved her. To send her back? Okay, let me keep reading. He only had 3 days after he left before 49 years were over. 3 days, and he let you go. She came here with cronies at the exact moment the 7 times 7 years were over and seized him, along with most of the court, and brought them under the mountain to her subjects. Creatures like me are too lowly for her, though she's not above murdering us for sport. I try not to visualize it, but what if King Hybern, if she's conquered Prythian for herself and stolen his spells, then does he see her as a subordinate or an ally? If they're on bad terms, if they are on bad terms, he has made no move to punish her. For 49 years now, she's held these lands in her grip. Worse, after the High Lords fell, all the wicked ones in her lands, the ones too awful even for the Night Court, flocked to her. They still do. She offered them sanctuary, but we know she's building her army, biding her time before launching an attack on your world, armed with the most lethal and vicious fairies in Prythian and Hybern. Like the Ator, I said, horror and dread twisting in my gut, and Alice nodded. In the human territory, I said, rumor claims more and more fairies have been sneaking over the wall to attack humans, and if no fairies can cross the wall without her permission, then that has to mean she's been sanctioning those attacks. And if I was right about what happened to Claire Breder and her family, then Amarantha had given the order for that too. Alice swiped some dirt, and I couldn't see from the table we leaned against. I would not be surprised if she had sent her minions into the human realm to investigate your strengths and weaknesses in anticipation of the destruction she one day hopes to cause. This was worse, so much worse than I had thought when I warned Nesta and my family to stay on alert and leave at the slightest sign of trouble. I felt sick to think of what kind of company Tomlin was keeping. Sick at the thought of him being so desperate, so stricken by guilt and grief over leaving to sacrifice his centuries and never being able to tell me, and he'd let me go. Let Andras' sacrifice be in vain. He'd known that if I remained, I would be at risk of Amarantha's wrath, even if I freed him. I can't even protect myself against them, against what's happening in Prythian. Even if he stood against the Blight, they would hunt you down. She would find a way to kill you. I remember that pathetic effort to flatter me upon my arrival, and then he'd given up on it, on any attempt to win me when I'd seemed so desperate to get away, to never talk to him. But he'd fallen in love with me despite all that, knowing I'd loved him, and let me go with days to spare. He had put me before his entire court, before all of Prythian. If Tomlin were freed, if he had his full powers, I said, staring at a blackened bit of wall, would he be able to destroy Amarantha? I don't know. She tricked the High Lords through cunning, not force. Magic's a specific kind of thing. It's like rules, and she manipulates them too well. She keeps their powers locked up inside herself as if she can't use them, or can access very little of them. At least she has her own deadly powers. Yes, if it came down to a fight, but is he stronger? I started wringing my hands. He's a High Lord, Alice replied, as if that were answer enough. But none of that matters now. He's to be her slave, and we're all to wear these masks until he agrees to become her lover. Even then, he'll never regain his full powers, and she'll never let those under the mountain go. I pushed off the table and squared my shoulders. How do I get under the mountain? She clicked her tongue. You can't go into the mountain. No human who goes in ever comes out. I squeezed my fist so hard that my nails bit into my flesh. How do I get there? It's suicide. She'll kill you. Even if you get close enough to see her, Amarantha had tricked him. She had hurt him so badly, hurt them all so badly. You're a human, Alice went on, standing as well. Your flesh is paper thin. Amarantha must have taken Lucian. She had carved out Lucian's eye and scarred him like that. Did his mother grieve for that? Or did his mother grieve for him? You were too blind to see Tomlin's curse, Alice continued. How do you expect to face Amarantha? You'll make things worse. Amarantha had taken everything I wanted. Everything I finally dared desire. Show me the way, I said, my voice trembling, but not with tears. No. Alice slung her satchel over her shoulder. Go home. I'll take you as far as the wall. There's naught to be done now. Tomlin will remain her slave forever, and Prythian will stay under her rule. That's what fate dealt. That was what the eddies of the cauldron decided. I don't believe in fate, nor do I believe in some ridiculous cauldron. She shook her head again. Her wild brown hair like glistening mud in the dim light. Take me to her, I insisted. If Amarantha ripped out my throat, at least I would die doing something for him. At least I would die trying to fix the destruction I had prevented, trying to save the people I'd doomed. At least Tomlin would know it was for him and that I loved him. Alice studied me for a moment before her eyes softened. As you wish. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me that Feyre is like assuming all this responsibility. I'm actually surprised she's not hurt by that. She's not hurt under the impression that Tomlin lied to her about all of this. I'm kind of surprised by that. I actually feel like it's kind of out of character, Feyre. I don't know. Anyway, chapter 33. I feel like she should be a little pissed. Maybe because she loves him even now. I'm liking the book a lot, actually, so far. At the start, but he literally sent her away so she didn't die instead of keeping her there and saving himself. Yeah, so that part makes sense, but like I'm gonna be honest. I'm surprised she can see that. Like, I'm surprised that the emotion of her being lied to isn't like stun locking her. And she could even see past that and see, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like in a logistic standpoint, it makes sense. And I understand like how you can not be mad at Tomlin, but emotionally, especially in the moment, I think most people would be really pissed that they just got manipulated like that. She feels mostly guilty about not breaking the curse. Yeah, but she couldn't have known. And yeah, maybe. It's just a little bit too logical. I think it sounds crazy, but I feel like her approach is a little too logical compared to how emotional she was throughout the book and how emotional humans are in general. Being manipulated in love feels so shitty. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay, okay. So they couldn't tell her about the curse because Tomlin's mad. Yes, yeah. So they couldn't tell Feyre about the curse. That makes sense. Like I'm saying, logically, this all makes sense. But in the moment and emotionally, it doesn't. Like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it's like, okay, you couldn't tell me about the curse, but you still manipulated me into loving you. You know, and it's like it's still a shitty feeling. Like there should be some like anger there or form of annoyance. Like that approach, I feel like I could come to that conclusion if I'm not in the situation at all. You know what I mean? I could easily come to the logical conclusion that Feyre just did if I'm not in the situation whatsoever where my emotions are not attached. However, with love and all that, I would immediately be like, what the fuck? I just got manipulated into loving you. Was all of it a lie? That would have been my first immediate thoughts. I don't know. That's the only thing that's kind of like doesn't sit too well with me. But maybe she does feel bad and she wants to try and fix it. So that makes sense. Yeah. I feel bad correcting you. It's Tamlin. It's Tamlin. Wait, I thought it was Tomlin. Someone said it was Tomlin. It's Tamlin. I wish I could read books. It's pretty fun. You should try it. Tomlin makes more sense to me. It is Tomlin, not Tomlin. So okay. Is it Tamlin? Tamlin. Tamlin. Am I saying that right now? I can read really well, I just can't process it. Oh, I see. I used to be really bad at processing it too. Tomlin. Tomlin. Like this? Tomlin. 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 Tamlin. Tam? Tamlin. Tamlin? Tamlin. Tamlin? Tamlin? Which one? Chat. Say Persephone again? Shut the fuck up. Okay, go back to Tomlin. It's Tomlin now. It's Tomlin. I'm sorry. I've been saying Tomlin this whole time. It's Tomlin. Persephone? Lol, sorry. It's fine. It's fine. I'm terrible at names, so it's to be expected. We'll go Tomlin. Tomlin. All right. How do I say Persephone again? What was it? Persephone? Fuck. What was it? Persephone. Persephone? Persephone. Persephone? Persephone. Okay, we got it. We got it. Oh my god, wait. Huge brain, you got it. Persephone. Like Stephanie. Persephone. Okay. I'm pronouncing it how you did from now on because I know it will really annoy a certain someone. It's Tomlin and Persephone. All right. Do we need another chapter? Okay, one more chapter. Wait. Before I start, what time is it and how much time do we have left in the subathon? It's 12. Okay, 12-2. 5.5 hours? Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah, I guess we're fine. Guess we're chilling. All right. Shall we? I might have been going to my death, but I wouldn't arrive unarmed. I tightened the strap of the quiver across my chest and then grazed my fingers over the arrow feathers peeking over my shoulder. Of course, there were no ash arrows, but I would make do with what I'd find scattered throughout the manor. I could have taken more, but weapons would only weigh me down. And I didn't know how to use most of them anyway. So I wore a full quiver, 2 daggers at my waist, and a bow slung over her shoulder. Better than nothing, even if I was up against fairies who had been born knowing how to kill. Alice led me through the silent woods and foothills, pausing every so often to listen, to alter our course. I didn't want to know what she had heard or smelled out there, not when such stillness blanketed the lands. Stay with the High Lord, Asuriel had said. Stay with him, fall in love with him, and all would have been righted. If I had stayed, if I had admitted what I'd felt, none of this would have happened. The world steadily filled with night, and my lungs ached from the steep slopes of the hills, but Alice pressed on, never once looking back to see that I followed. I was beginning to wonder whether I should have brought more than a day's worth of food when she stopped in the hollow between the 2 hills. The air was cold, far colder than the air at the top of the hill, and I shivered as my eyes fell upon a slender cave mouth. There was no way this was the entrance, not when that Muriel had painted under the mountain to be in the center of Prythian. It was weeks of travel away. All dark and miserable roads led under the mountain, Alice said, so quietly that her voice was nothing more than the rushing of leaves. She pointed to the cave. It's an ancient shortcut, once considered sacred, but no more. This was the cave Lucian had ordered Ator not to use that day. I tried to master my trembling. I loved Tomlin, and I would go to the ends of the earth to make it right, to save him. But if Amarantha was worse than the Ator, if the Ator wasn't the wickedness of her cronies, even if Tomlin had been scared of her, I reckon you're regretting your hot-headedness right now. I strained. I will free him. You'll be lucky if she gives you a clean death. You'll be lucky even if you even get brought before her. I must have turned pale because she pursed her lips and patted me on the shoulder. A few rules to remember, girl, she said, and we both stared at the cave mouth. The darkness reckoned from its maw to poison the fresh night air. Don't drink the wine. It's not like what we had at the solstice, and will do more harm than good. Don't make deals with anyone unless your life depends on it, and even then, consider whether it's worth it. And most of all, don't trust a soul in there, not even your Tomlin. Your senses are your greatest enemies. They will be waiting to betray you. I fought the urge to touch one of the daggers and nodded my thanks instead. Do you have a plan? No, I admitted. Don't expect that steel to do you any good, she said with a glance at my weapons. I don't, I faced her, biting the inside of my lip. There was there was one part of the curse, one part we can't tell you. Even now, my bones are carrying out. Just mentioning it. One part you have to figure out on your own. One part she swallowed loudly. That she still doesn't want you to know. If I can't say it. She grasped out. But keep your ears open, girl. Listen to what you hear. Ah? There's still one thing about the curse she can't say even now. Why? Why? Okay, two options. Two options. That's it. One, you literally, no one with the curse can even talk about it, and it has no iteration whether there's a human there or not, right? It doesn't matter. So that's just something that you can't even talk about with the curse, otherwise that person will die or something. Or it's about the human who fell in love with the fairy. So it's going back off of that premise, which means there's still a way to save him. If she dies for him? Listen to what you hear. Yeah, it's something that the human can't do. It's either the human can't do, or it's just something that the curse itself can't talk about. But I feel like it's leaning more towards the human. So there's still something that she can do to lift the curse then, that she has to do herself. But then why would she even... I mean, she had to have told her, otherwise she... No. She would have went regardless if Alice would have told her the whole lore, right? She would have still went regardless. No, there's something else about the curse. No. Ooh, what if there's a way? Whoa. What if there's a way to take the curse from somebody? Somebody who's not cursed can take the curse from somebody? So it's like a second step. Like it's like, the first one would be like to completely cure it, but then the second one would be to take it from that person. And then she ends up with a mask. Nah, but it won't do anything. No, something... Fuck. I know it's going to piss me off if I don't figure this out. All right, we continue. I touched her arm. I will. Thank you for bringing me. For wasting precious hours when that satchel of supplies for herself, for her boys, said enough about where she was going. It's a rare day indeed when someone thanks you for bringing them to their death. If I thought about the danger too long, I might lose my nerve, Tomlin or no. She wasn't helping. I wish you luck nonetheless, Alice added. Once you retrieve them, if you and your nephews need somewhere to flee, I said, cross the wall, go to my family's house. I told her the location. Ask for Nesta, my eldest sister. She knows who you are, knows everything. She will shelter you in any way she can. Nesta would do it too. I knew now. Even if Alice and her boys terrified her, she would keep them safe. Alice patted my head. Stay alive, she said. I looked at her own one last time, and then at the night sky that was unfurling above us, and at the deep green of the hills, the color of Tomlin's eyes. I walked into the cave. The only sounds were my shallow breathing and the crunch of my boots on stone. Stumbling through the frigid dark, I inched onward. I kept close to the wall, and my hands soon turned numb as the cold, wet stone hit into my skin. I took small steps, fearful of some invisible pit that might send me trembling to my doom. After what felt like eternity, a crack of orange light cleaved through the dark, and then came the voices, hissing and braying, eloquent and guttural, a cacophony, bursting the silence like a firecracker. I pressed myself against the cave wall, but the sounds passed and faded. I crept towards the light, blinking back my blindness when I found the source. A slight fissure in the rock. It opened into a crudely carved, fire-lit subterranean passageway. I lingered into the shadows, my heart wild in my chest. The crack in the cave wall was large enough for one person to squeeze through, so jagged and rough that it was obviously not often used. A glance at the dirt revealed no tracks, no sign of anyone else using this entrance. The hallway beyond was clear, but it veered off, obscuring my view. The passage was deathly quiet, but I remembered Alice's warning and didn't trust my ears. And not when fairies could be silent as cats. Still, I had to leave this cave. Talmud had been here for weeks already. I had to find where Amarantha kept him and hopefully not run into anyone in the process. Killing animals in the Naga had been one thing, but killing any others? I took several deep breaths, bracing myself. It was the same as hunting. Only this time the animals were fairies who could torture me endlessly, torture me until I begged for death, torture me the way that they tormented that summer court fairy whose wings had been ripped off. I didn't let myself think about those bleeding stumps as I eased toward the tiny opening, sucking in my stomach to squeeze through. My weapon scraped the stone, and I winced at the hiss of the falling pebbles. Keep moving, keep moving. Hurrying across the open hallway, I pressed into an alcove in the opposite wall. It didn't provide much cover. I slunk along the wall, pausing at the bend in the hall. This was a mistake. Only an idiot would come here. I could be anywhere in Amarantha's court. Alice should have been giving me more information. I should have been smart enough to ask, or smart enough to think of another way. Any way but this. I risked a glance around the corner and almost sobbed in frustration. Another hallway carved out of the mountain's pale stone, lined on either side by torches. No shadowy spots for concealment, and it's the other end. My view was yet again obscured by a sharp turn. It was wide open. I was as good as starving doe, ripping bark off of a tree in a clearing. But the halls were silent. The voices I'd heard earlier were gone. If I heard anyone, I could sprint back to the cave mouth. I could do reconnaissance for a time, gather information, find out where Tomlin was. No. A second opportunity might not arise for a while. I had to act now. If I stopped for too long, I'd never work up the nerve again. I made to slip around the corner. Long, bony fingers wrapped around my arm, and I went rigid. And a pointed, leathery gray face came into view, and its silver fangs glistened as it smiled to me. Hello, it hissed. What's something like you doing here? I knew that voice. It still haunted my nightmares, so it was all I could do to keep me from screaming as its bat-like ears crocked, and I realized I stood before the Ator. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Chapter 34. Oh my fucking god. Oh my. One more? One more, chat? It's kind of short. One more. The Ator kept its icy grip on... Sorry, one sec. The Ator kept its icy grip on my upper arm as it as it half dragged me to the throne room. Sorry, I'm like losing my voice. It didn't bother to strip me of my weapons. We both knew they were of little use. Tomlin, Alice and her boys, my sisters, Lucian, I silently chanted their names again and again as the Ator loomed over me. A demon of malice, its leathery wings rustled occasionally, and had I been able to speak without screaming, I might have asked why it hadn't killed me outright. The Ator just tugged me onward with that slight, slithering gait, its clawed feet making leisurely scratches on the cave floor. It looked unnervingly identical to how I had painted it. Leering face, cruel and harsh. Watch me go by, none of them looked remotely concerned or disturbed that I was in the claws of the Ator. Fairies, lots of them, but few high fae to be seen. We strode through two ancient, enormous stone doors, taller than Tomlin's manor, and into a vast chamber carved from pale rock, upheld by countless carved pillars. That small part of me that had again become trivial and useless noted that the carvings weren't just ornate designs, but actually depicted fairies and high fae and animals in various environments and states of movement. Countless stories of Prythian were etched on them. Chandeliers of jewels hung between the pillars, staining the red marble floor with color. Here were the high fae. An assembled crowd took up most of the space, some of them dancing to strange, off-kilter music, some milling about chanting a party of sorts. I thought I spied some glittering masks among the attendees, but everything was a blur of sharp teeth and fine clothing. The Ator hurled me forward, and the world spun. The cold marble floor was unyielding as I slammed into it, my bones groaning and barking. I pushed myself up, sparking dancing in my eyes, but stayed on the ground, kept low as I beheld the days before me. A few steps led onto my platform. I lifted my head higher. There, longing on a black, sorry, my boy. I'm literally like losing my voice. I shouldn't have read another chapter. It's streaming too long. Okay. My water's too far. Okay, it's fine. There, lounging on a black throne, was Amarantha. Though lovely, she was as devastatingly beautiful as I'd imagined. Wasn't some goddess of darkness and spite. It made her all of the more petrifying. Her red gold hair was neatly braided and woven through her golden crown. The deep color enriching her snow-white skin, which in turn set off her ruby lips. But while her ebony eyes shone, there was something that sucked at her beauty, some kind of permanent sneer to her features that made her allure seem contrived and cold. To paint her would have driven me to madness. The highest commander of the King of Hybern, she'd slaughtered humans armies centuries ago, had murdered her slaves rather than free them, and she captured all of Prythian in a matter of days. Then I looked to the black rock throne beside her, and my arm buckled beneath me. She was still wearing that gold mask, still wearing his warrior's clothes. Oh shit. Sid with a 10 gifted. Yo, thank you, Sid. I appreciate that. Thank you, Sid. The highest commander, he was still wearing the golden mask, still wearing his warrior's clothes, that baldric, even though there were no knives sheathed along it, not a single weapon anywhere on him. His eyes didn't widen, his mouth didn't tighten, no claws, no fangs. He just stared at me, unfeeling, unmoved, unimpressed. What's this? Amarantha said, her voice lilting despite the adder's smile she gave me. From her slender, creamy neck hung a long, thin chain, and from it dangled a single age-worn bone the size of a finger. I didn't want to consider whom it might have belonged to as I remained on the floor. If I shifted, Um, sorry. Wait. Wait, what just happened? Where did I just go? Wait. Wait, what just happened? How did I just lose my place? Wait, I lost the page I was on? How? How did I just go back so many pages? What? Okay, here we are. I didn't want to consider who it might have belonged to as I remained on the floor. If I shifted my arm, I could draw my dagger. Just a human thing I found downstairs, the otter hissed, and a forked tongue darted out between its razor-sharp teeth. It flipped its wings once, blasting foul-smelling air at me, and then neatly tucked them behind its skeletal body. Obviously, Amarantha purred. I avoided meeting her eyes, focusing on Tomlin's brown boots. He was 10 feet from me, 10 feet, and not saying a word, not even looking horrified or angry. But why should I bother with her? The Ator chuckled, the sound like sizzling water on the griddle, and a taloned foot jabbed on my side. Tell Her Majesty why you were sneaking around the catacombs, why you came out of the old cave that leads to the Spring Court. Wouldn't it be better to kill the Ator or to try to make it to Amarantha? The Ator kicked me again, and I winced as his claws bit into my ribs. Tell Her Majesty, you human filth. I needed time. I needed to figure out my surroundings. If Tomlin was under some kind of spell, then I would have to worry about grabbing him. I eased to my feet, keeping my hands within casual reach of my daggers. I stared at Amarantha's glittering golden gown rather than her meter eyes. I came to claim the one I love, I said quietly. Perhaps the curse could still be broken. Again, I looked at him, and the sight of those emerald eyes was a balm. Oh, Amarantha said, leaning forward. I've come to claim Tomlin, High Lord of the Spring Court. A gasp rippled through the assembled court. But Amarantha tipped back her head and laughed. A raven's caw. A high queen turned to Tomlin, and her lips pulled back in a wicked smile. You certainly were busy all those years. Developed a taste for human beasts, did you? He said nothing, his face impassive. What had she done? He didn't move. Her curse had worked. Then I was too late. I'd failed him, damned him. But, Amarantha said slowly, I could sense the Ator and the entire court looming behind me. It makes me wonder if only one human girl could be taken once she killed your sentinel. Her eyes sparked. Oh, you are delicious. You let me torture that innocent girl to keep this one safe. You lovely thing. You actually made a human worm love you. Marvelous. She clapped her hands, and Tomlin merely looked away from her, the only reaction I'd seen from him. Tortured. She tortured? I was right. She tortured Claire, thinking it was her. I'm just surprised that Rhys didn't confirm it. Interesting. Wait. The double agent. Wait, reset. Oh. Wait, resend didn't say that. Confirmed that Claire was Feyre. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, wait. Wait, resend didn't confirm that Claire was not Feyre, which is crazy. Which means that he was trying to protect Feyre. Which means is there a world that he somehow convinced Feyre to come back? Was there a world Rhysand somehow convinced Feyre to come back? How? How? Nesta? Through Nesta? Is there a world? Wait. Hold on. Because he would have known that she sent him back. Tom had no idea. Tom has no idea that Rhysand's on their side. Tom has no idea Rhysand's on their side. Otherwise, Tom wouldn't have sent Feyre back. So is there a world where the burning of the house and all the family was a way for Rhysand to communicate with Feyre, so Feyre would come back and maybe uplift the curse for Tomlin so they can fight off Amarantha? Is that ever a world? Rhysand is clever. I could see him doing that. It's a morbid ass way to communicate, but that's Rhysand. Oh my god, what the fuck? Okay, let's keep reading. Oh shit. She tortured. Let him go, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Amarantha laughed. Give me one reason why I shouldn't destroy you where you stand, human. Her teeth were so straight and white, almost glowing. My blood pounded in my veins, but I kept my chin high as I said, You tricked him. He is bound unfairly. Tomlin had gone very, very still. Amarantha clicked her tongue and looked at one of her slender white hands, at the ring of her index finger. A ring, I noticed as she lowered her hand again, set with what looked like a human eye encased in crystal. I could have sworn it swiveled inside. Is that Lucian's? You human beasts are so uncreative. We spent years teaching you poetry and fine speech, and that is all you can come up with? I should rip out your tongue for letting it go to waste. I clamped my teeth together, but I'm curious, what eloquence will pour from your lips when you behold what you should have been? My brows narrowed as Amarantha pointed behind me, that hideous eye ring indeed looking with her, and I turned. There, nailed high on the wall, of the enormous cavern was the mangled corpse of a young woman. Her skin was buried in places. Her fingers were bent at odd angles and garish red lines crisscrossed her naked body. I could I could hardly hear Amarantha over the roar in my ears. Perhaps I should have listened when she said she'd never seen Tomlin before. Oh, sorry, that's what she said. Perhaps I should have listened to when she said she's never seen Tomlin before, Amarantha mused, or when she insisted she'd never killed a fairy, never hunted a day in her life. Though her screaming was delightful, I haven't had such lovely music in ages. Her next words were directed at me. I should thank you for giving Resend her name instead of yours. Claire Better. This was where they'd taken her. What they'd done to her after they burned her family alive in their house. This was what I'd done to her. By giving Resend her name to protect my family, my insides twisted. It was a concentrated effort not to empty my stomach onto the stones. The Attor's talons dug into my shoulders as it shoved me around to face Amarantha, who was still giving me that snake smile. I had as good as killed Claire. I'd saved my own life and damned her. That rotting body on the wall should have been mine. Mine. Come now, precious, Amarantha said. What have you to say to that? I wanted to spit that she deserved to burn in hell for eternity, but I could only see Claire's body nailed there. Even as I stared blankly at Tomlin. He'd let them kill Claire like that, to keep them from knowing that I was alive. My eyes stung as bile burned my throat. Do you still wish to claim someone who would do that to an innocent? Amarantha said softly, consolingly. I snapped my gaze to her. I wouldn't let Claire's death be in vain. I wasn't going to go down without a fight. Yes, I said. Yes, I do. Okay. Her lips curled back, revealing two sharp canines, and as I stared into her black eyes, I realized I was going to die. But Amarantha leaned back in her throne and crossed her legs. Well, Tomlin, she said, putting a proprietary hand on his arm. I don't suppose you ever expected this to occur. She waved a hand in my general direction. A murmur of laughter from those assembled echoed around me, hitting me with like stones. What do you have to say, High Lord? I looked at the face I loved so dearly, and his next words almost sent me to my knees. I've never seen her before. Someone must have glamoured her as a joke, probably Resend. Still trying to protect me, even here. Oh, that's not even a halfway decent lie. Amarantha angled her head. Could it be that you, despite your words so many years ago, returned the human's feelings? A girl with hate in her heart for our kind has managed to fall in love with a fairy, and a fairy whose feather once slaughtered the human masses by the side has actually fallen in love with her too. She let out the crow's laugh again. Oh, this is too good. This is too fun. She fingered the bone hanging from her necklace and looked at the encasing eye upon her hand. I suppose if anyone can appreciate the moment, she said to the ring, it would be you, Jurian. Oh, Jurian's eye. Oh, shit. She smiled prettily. A pity your human whore on the side never bothered to save you, though. Jurian. That was his eye, his finger bone. Horror coiled up into my gut. Through the whatever evil, whatever power, she somehow held his soul, his consciousness, to the ring, to the bone. Tomlin still looked at me without recognition, without a flicker of feeling. Perhaps he had used that some power to glamour him. Perhaps she'd taken all his memories. The queen picked at her nails. Things have been awfully boring since Claire decided to die on me. Killing you outright, human, would be dull. She flicked her gaze to me, then back to her nails, to the ring on her finger. But fate stirs the cauldron in strange ways. Perhaps my darling Claire had to die in order for me to have some true amusement with you. My bowels turned watery. I couldn't help it. You came to claim Tomlin, Amarantha said. It wasn't a question, but a challenge. Well, as it happens, I'm bored to tears of his sullen silence. I was worried when he didn't flinch while I played with darling Claire, when he didn't even show those lovely claws. But I'll make a bargain with you, human, she said, and warning bells pealed in my mind. Unless your life depends on it, Alice had said. You complete 3 tasks of my choosing, 3 tasks to prove how deep that human sense of loyalty and love runs, and Tomlin is yours. Just 3 little challenges to prove your dedication, to prove to me, to darling Jurian, that your kind can indeed love true, and you can have your High Lord. She turned to Tomlin. Consider it a favor, High Lord. These human dogs can make our kind so lust-blind that we lose all common sense. Better for you to see her true nature now. I want his curse broken too, I blurted. She raised a brow, her smile growing, revealing far too many of those white teeth. I complete all 3 of your tasks, and his curse is broken, and we, and all of this court, can leave here and remain free forever, I added. Magic was specific. Alice had said, that was how Amarantha had tricked them. I wouldn't let loopholes be my downfall. Of course, Amarantha purred. I'll throw in another element, if you don't mind, just to see if you're worthy of one of our kind, if you're smart enough to deserve him. Jurian's eye swiveled wildly, and she clicked her tongue at it. The eye stopped moving. I'll give you a way out, girl, she went on. You'll complete all the tasks, or, when you can't stand it anymore, all you have to do is answer one question. I could barely hear her above the blood pounding in my ears. A riddle. You solve the riddle, and his curse will be broken instantaneously. I won't even need to lift my finger and he'll be free. Say the right answer, and he's yours. You can answer it at any time, but if you answer incorrectly, she pointed, and didn't need to turn to no, she gestured to Claire. I turned her words over, looking for traps and loopholes within her phrasing, but it all sounded right. And what if I fail your tasks? Her smile became almost grotesque, and she rubbed the thumb across the dome of her ring. If you fail a task, there won't be anything left of you for me to play with. A chill slithered down my spine. Alice had warned me against bargains, but Amarantha would kill me in an instant if I said no. What is the nature of my tasks? Oh, revealing that would take all the fun out of it. But I'll tell you that you'll have one task every month at the full moon. And in the meantime, I dared it, glanced at Tomlin. The gold in his eyes were brighter than I remembered. In the meantime, Amarantha said a bit sharply, you shall either remain in your cell or do whatever additional work I require. If you run me ragged, won't that put me in a disadvantage? I knew she was losing interest, that she hadn't expected me to question her so much, but I had to try to gain some kind of edge. Nothing beyond basic housework. It's only fair for you to earn your keep. I could have strangled her for that, but I nodded. Then we are agreed. I knew she waited for me to echo her response, but I had to make sure. If I complete your 3 tasks or solve your riddle, you'll do as I request. Of course, Amarantha said. Is it agreed? His face ghastly white, Tomlin's eyes met with mine, and they almost impersively widened. No. But it was either this or death. Death like Claire, slow and brutal. The Ator hissed behind me. A warning to reply. I didn't believe in fate or the cauldron, and I had no other choice, because when I looked into Tomlin's eyes, even now, seated beside Amarantha as her slave, or worse, I loved him with a fierceness that swept up my whole heart, because when he had white in his eyes, I had known he still loved me. I had nothing left but the shred of fool's hope that I might win, that I might outwit and defeat a fairy queen as ancient as the stone beneath me. Well, Amarantha demanded, behind me. I sensed the Ators preparing to pounce, to beat the answer from me if need be. She tricked them all. But I hadn't survived poverty and years in the woods for naught. My best chance lay in revealing nothing but myself, or what I knew. What was her court but another forest, another hunting ground? I glanced at Tomlin one last time before I said, agreed. Tomlin gave me a small, horrible smile. The magic sizzled in the air between us as she snapped her fingers. She nestled back in her throne. Give her a greeting worthy of my hall, she said to someone behind me. Ator's hiss was my only warning as something rock hard collided with my jaw. I was thrown sideways, stunned from the pain. But another brutal blow to my face awaited. Bones crunched, my bones. My legs twisted beneath me, and the Ator's leathery skin grated against my cheek as it punched me again. I ricocheted away, but met with the fist of another, a twisted, lesser fairy, whose face I didn't glimpse. It was like being slugged with a brick, crunch, crack. I think there was 3 of them, and I became their punching bag, pissed off from blow to blow, my bones screaming in agony. Maybe I was screaming in agony too. Blood sprayed from my mouth, and its metallic tang coated my tongue before I knew no more. Damn, she's getting fucked up. Okay. 35. Chapter 35.